So like, it's just annoying when that shit happens. You know what I'm saying? That shit was, I mean, I can't even count, bro, how many times I've been for that for the weekend.
When you arrive in Los Angeles and see their graffiti culture, what differences do you notice between LA and San Francisco? Are there any?
I mean, yeah, as far as like style-wise, for sure. And when I came here in 03, it was, you know, it was very, I would say that LTS style was still very dominant. So they didn't really have that. Even though Saber and Revolt came up to Frisco and did it, they kind of had they still had letter structures and all that shit. So it was a little different, but that part stood out to me more. And then no one really, only a few riders had like throw-ups. Like in Frisco, that was like a staple. It was kind of like New York. You have to, but everybody had a dope throw-up, and that's what it was, and that was their means of getting up. Where in LA, when I came here, I didn't see really any throw-ups. I saw a couple people had them, like maybe a handful of people. And even out of that handful, maybe only a few actually used the throw-up as a way of getting up. But mostly it was just straight letters, and I would say more dominant of just like a straight letter or just nice clean tags or that kind of LTS-ish dominant style.
Did you know anything about Los Angeles graffiti culture from the past when you arrived? Like
just like magazine shit, you'd see shit from, you know, CBS and fucking shit like that. And I knew that the MSKs were from down here and AWR and shit like that.
Did you know anything about the Fox 11 specials, tag banging?
No, I didn't even know what tag banging was. Like, you'd have the thugs in Frisco and the Outer Mission and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and the bus mobbers were kind of their version of tag banging and shit. But it wasn't like that term. I didn't even know about it till I came here. And no, I didn't know about, like, I didn't know who the Kings were of LA. I didn't know who was Cruz. I didn't know none of that. I was very tunnel vision, just worried about me.
When you first arrive in Los Angeles, you're catching dangerous daredevil spots, ledges, overhangs, rooftops, water towers, just death-defying places. Why were you pushing the envelope so hard?
I think that's just in my personality to be like that. Like, if I'm going to do something, I want to go all out. And I know, like, in graffiti, you got to do shit that sticks out. I've always been blessed to have an eye for a spot. And then I'm the type of person, like, you know, you see a spot, you want to get it. So it's like that, to me, is the most exciting part of painting. Like, the application of it's cool and shit, but I'm more or less like scoping a spot. Oh, how the fuck can I get up there? And then try to get up there. And then not only that, try and come off on the spot. You know, that's not easy to do. So that was pretty much it. Just trying to fucking, you know, not clutter up a wall or get my own fresh new shit and just crush, bro. Like, by the time I came to LA, I was already entrenched in fucking wanting to be fucking just a killer, like, and that was it.
That first year in LA, can you name some of the other writers you go writing with? Or are you just...
Me and Sayas.
Yeah?
That's what really put me on the map, was just painting with Sayas. He had already lived down here and he was painting here and there, but once I came, and then he had a homie to paint with, and then he had a little fucking Toyota Camry at the time and shit, and we just fucking... We didn't know anybody, so we would just mob, same shit, every night. We would just mob every night. I was racking a lot, so we would just do that and just paint every single night. And I don't think we met anybody until, I probably lived here for like over a year before I met anybody. And the homies that I ended up meeting were the JMUs in the Motor Yard, which, for those who've never been there, it was a famous yard in West LA. And I lived right by there, so I could walk to there. I would paint there a lot. I met the JMUs, who are still, some of them still my brothers today. And those were that was like the first little West Side crew that I met. Those are really the ones. They were young as fuck. I was older. They were still in high school. Not anymore, but back then they were. And they introduced me. They're like, oh, you're SUFER and Sayas, or you're SUFER. Like, oh, we've been seeing you up, blah, blah, blah. And then, oh, yeah, I rap and this and that. And then fucking, they're like, oh, you got a link with our homie. And they were homies with Rezik. Rezik was MTA. I don't know if he was WCA yet or at the time. But anyways, and then that's kind of my introduction to LA Riders, was through the JMUs. They introduced me to Rezik. I hung out with Rezik for only a few weeks before he moved away at the time. But he introduced me to K9ER.
Right.
That is really the gateway for me.
At this point, SUFER CA is everywhere in Los Angeles. You can't ignore it. And then suddenly we see an MTA next to your name. Before joining MTA, what had you heard of them?
Just the shit that I would see like in magazines here and there, because I know they were affiliated with CBS back in the day and shit. So, you know, it'd be like CBS MTA. Like that's really all I knew. Like I didn't know anybody. I didn't know who. You could have asked me who's from MTA. Like fuck, I don't know. I was like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, obviously like Gas, Budge, K9ER. I knew of a few. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really know of anyone, but once I was introduced to Rezik and he was into hip hop and rapping, I was like, oh, this is probably my vibe. I'll fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? And then not knowing that by that time, like I was, I guess in a sense, for all graffiti writers, when you're not known by anyone, but you're up, crews are looking for you. They want to put you down. They want the hitter in their squad, in a sense, you know what I'm saying? So, and then the fact that I didn't know anybody, I think just put more of a thing on my name, in a sense, like, who is this fool? Like, one, I was doing throw-ups everywhere, and wasn't no one really doing that. Like I said, very, very few. And then the way that I went about doing it, as far as kind of bringing that San Francisco element to LA and using that throw-up to get up as much as possible, like, it hadn't really, not that it hadn't been done, but it just maybe hadn't been seen like that for a little while. So I think that even brought more, like, who is this fucking dude doing throw-ups everywhere? And it just brought, like, I ran into other people later on. They're like, damn, we were looking for you back then, bro. We wanted you to be a part of the team and this and that. But the way the universe worked, I linked up with the MTAs and really K9ER. Like Rezik was the catalyst. And then once he moved and I started, and we befriended K9ER, like he sunned me on all of LA. And what, you know, what better of a person to learn from? Like, that fool's a legend. For anybody that doesn't know, like, that fool is a beast.